What's up, guys? Red Wolf here, and welcome to the offseason for the NC State Dynasty heading into year 3. The big question of this offseason is whether or not star wide receiver Kevin Concepcion will declare for the NFL draft, transfer, or stay at NC State for his senior season. He had a down year this season, especially when you compare it to his sophomore year, in which he broke several NC State single-season records. However, the offense as a whole was not as good this year, so the regression shouldn't really be a big surprise. His last 100-yard game came against Miami in Week 8. That's at least 7 straight games of not eclipsing 100 yards. However, with a wide receiver of his skill, we would definitely want him back, especially if we want this offense to take the next step next season in year 3. The Wolfpack made it to the national championship game, won an ACC championship in year 1, but we fell short in that big title game against Georgia. And we took a step back this year, finishing 9-4 after the bowl win, with 3 straight losses to close out the regular season. CJ Bailey was an all-ACC freshman performer this year. He finished with over 3,200 yards, 24 touchdowns, and 10 interceptions. He completed 66% of his passes, but again, he started fast, but was unable to close the season as strong as he started. Looking back at the season schedule, we started out with a tough game against ECU, finished as a 4-point win in Orlando. We come back home against Florida, get the win, go to Texas and beat TCU, and then we have our first true test against Pitt, and we fall 48-30. After that, the defense played extremely well, but the last 3 regular season games, the offense could not get anything going, scoring 17, 10, and then 20 points. But we decided to open things up in the bowl game. We won 34-9 over UTSA, and I'm hoping that'll springboard us into year 3 with a lot of momentum. If we take a look at CJ Bailey's season stats, you can see that middle stretch of the year where he had several games under 200 yards passing. In a 3-game stretch against Georgia Tech, Wake Forest, and Florida State, he only threw 2 touchdown passes to go with 4 interceptions. Our running game also struggled big time this year. Kendrick Raphael ran for 641 yards and 5 touchdowns, but we were unable to get into a rhythm. KC Concepcion, of course, was our leading receiver. Noah Rogers took a step up in his yards, finishing with 730. Justin Jolie also leaves us this year. He graduates, and arguably he was our best receiver when given the opportunities. Elijah Groves led the team in tackles, 86 total tackles for the sophomore, who started as a true freshman and has had 2 back-to-back solid seasons. Sean Brown and Groves both finished with 9 sacks, as they both played those rush-in positions. When they got put on the field in those rush situations, obvious passing downs, the tackles were no match. Groves and Brown got to the quarterback a lot. Interceptions, Cisse and Martin both finished with 3. Palmer, Marshall, and Cooley all have 2. And Brody Barnhart, the redshirt freshman, had a pick and 83 total tackles for the safety. He's only a 74 overall. We'll see if anybody comes in to replace him. Let's give the punter a little bit of love. Caden Noonkester is graduating this season. He improved his yards per punt by almost 3 yards per punt. This year's national champion is Kansas State. We had another ACC team in it. Florida State made it, but was just unable to take down Kansas State. Clemson also made the 12-team playoff, and we head to players leaving. KC Concepcion is declaring for the pro draft. We do not have an opportunity to persuade him. And Kendrick Raphael is also going to transfer. We're not even going to try to persuade him to stay. I think with our running back commit coming in, Cliff Robbins, the 5-star, we can also look at the transfer portal and also reevaluate our own depth chart. I don't think we need to spend time trying to convince Kendrick Raphael to stay. He wasn't very effective this year, averaging 4.6 yards per carry. He just was unable to get anything going. KC Concepcion was a first-round pick, and Caden Fordham, a bit of a surprise, was a 7th rounder. Hopefully he sticks on a roster and does not get cut, but it looks like a team took a flyer on him. Let's head to off-season recruiting. We've got a lot of our class wrapped up. We have 17 signees so far, led by 5-star running back Cliff Robbins and 5-star receiver J.D. Edelman. I think both of those guys will be early contributors in year 3. But we head to the transfer portal. 4-star middle linebacker Denelius Johnson from Georgia Tech is a guy that I think could come in and play almost straight away. 6 foot, 230 pounds. He could push our current linebackers for playing time. We take a look at positions of need. Halfback is a big one. There's 2 5-star running backs in the transfer portal, but we do not meet what they need. That would have been nice to be able to bring in a 5-star high school recruit and a 5-star transfer, but we're unable to do it. Raleigh native Nathan Laycock entered the transfer portal, and we are just under his deal breaker. We need a better playing style, more yards per game. That would have been a big pickup if we were able to bring him in. And he's somebody who's big enough. Maybe we could have shifted him to tight end in passing downs and get a lot of talent on the field. But as we head through the entire transfer portal, a lot of these guys don't really want to come to NC State. We find left outside linebacker Jacob Emming and right guard Jerome Williams. We'll see if they decide to run with the pack, but we get to take a look at Dynasty Johnson. He's a 4-star transfer. I'm not going to spend time scouting him. We're going to go straight to try to figure out his interests, and we do know his deal breaker, so we're going to go ahead and schedule his visit. Jacob Emming is another one we're going to offer a scholarship. He's a power rusher archetype, left outside linebacker from Iowa. We're currently 7th on his board. Jerome Williams is a 3-star transfer right guard, just adding to our depth on that offensive line. He is 6'4", 300 pounds, so good size for the right guard. As we just take a look at some updates we're giving to these guys. We're also going to add some points to Dynasty Johnson to figure out what he wants. Heading into the offseason, we do have the 6th ranked class in the country. Of course, led by those 3 5-stars. We've talked about the 2 offensive guys, but we also have 5-star safety Matthew Reese. He could compete for playing time early, especially if he comes in highly rated, and Brody Barnhart or a couple of those other safeties don't progress. We've currently jumped to the lead for Dynasty Johnson. We know 2 of his interests. We also know his deal breaker. We're going to go ahead and try to hard sell him on those 3 interests and see if we can't get a commit early in this recruiting cycle from Dynasty Johnson. I'll take all the talent we can get at this point. I know our defense played well, but we just need to continue adding talent and adding competition to this team. Nathan McBath is a right guard. We're currently in the lead. Nobody else going for him. Jermaine Boyette is a free safety run support 4-star from Georgia. We're currently in 2nd. But we head to week 3. We get a commit from right outside linebacker Dom Blunt from Texas. And there he is. Dynasty Johnson chooses the pack. The transfer from Georgia Tech will add depth to that linebacker room. Jermaine Boyette commits to Florida. A surprise commitment there. I thought we had a shot to really get him. But we have 4 recruits left on the board now. We're not taking a huge class this year, as we didn't really graduate a ton of guys. We had a bunch of young guys playing a season ago. Haslam is an athlete. He's a 4-star. We'll get to him in a second. He's an athlete that will turn into a linebacker at the next level. So that would add a lot of linebackers in this class. We already have a right outside linebacker and a couple middle linebackers committed. And we're going after left outside linebacker Emming, the transfer out of Iowa, right here. I think we have a good shot to land all 4 of these guys. And we'll see what happens when we head to week 4. We're currently in the lead for Emming, McBath, and Williams. We're just trying to change some things around to make sure we close the deal quickly. TCU's making a push for Williams. But going from Minnesota to Texas might be a bit of a wake-up call for Williams. I think he would choose North Carolina over Texas any day of the week. We do know his interest. We know his deal breaker. And we're going to go ahead and hard sell on those 3. When we head to week 4, we get Lloyd Haslam to commit, the 4-star middle linebacker. Nathan McBath, a 3-star right guard from Oregon. Jacob Emming, there he is, the left outside linebacker, 3-star. And Jerome Williams also chooses the pack. So every person we went after except Jermaine Boyette in this offseason chooses to run with NC State. We have the 5th ranked class, 5th ranked in terms of high school recruits as well. We see a few guys we missed out on looking at other schools. And we also have the 12th ranked transfer class. We only finished with 3 transfer commits. Several other teams finished with almost double-digit transfers. Heading into college football 26, that's something I wish they would change. I want to see more guys hit the transfer portal, more guys that would not be expected to hit the transfer portal from your own team, just to create chaos and cause you to reevaluate what you're doing. it kind of gets stale after several years if your guys stay around for 3 or 4 seasons. They're able to develop, and you're not able to readjust. But we take a look at our class. This is much stronger than a season ago. Of course, led by halfback Cliff Robbins. He is probably the #1 guy I'm excited about heading into year 3. We have several 4-star commits, and of course the 3 5-stars. This is an extremely strong class. TJ Torrance is another linebacker commit. That was a huge focus for us heading into year 3. Owasika is a quarterback 4-star that I think could come in and compete, especially if this offense is unable to get stuff going this year. We take a look at some more guys. We head down the board. We see 3-star punter get signed. Maybe he could take over as Caden Noonkester this year. And then we finally get to see what we got committed in the offseason. I'm excited about Don Blunt, 3-star power rusher, outside linebacker. I think after a couple years, he would be a huge contributor for this team. Nathan McBath is a gem. Jacob Emming and Jerome Williams were in that transfer class. I'm excited about this freshman class overall. I think we have a lot of guys that could come in and compete early. We take a look at the roster as it stands right now. Jamie Owasika comes in rated higher than Stephen Ballage at 73. Ballage is a 72, and CJ Bailey is currently sitting at an 80. And of course, Cliff Robbins comes in as our highest rated running back. Not really a surprise there. He's an 80 overall. Hollywood Smothers right behind him at a 78. JD Edelman comes in as our second rated wide receiver. That tight end position is one I'm really excited about this season. Juice Vereen, I think, is a guy who's athletic. He could catch a lot of footballs for us, maybe get into the end zone a few times. But Randy Schultz showed something in that bowl game. He had one opportunity. He caught the pass for a touchdown from Stephen Ballage. We're just going to kind of balance out this offensive line a little bit. We have a ton of right guards on the roster right now. I do like having that depth, but it might cause issues as we head to encourage transfers. Jacarius Peak is coming back for his senior season. He's going to anchor the right side of that offensive line. But as it stands right now, before progression, the left side and center position are kind of weak. Now taking a look at the defense, J.D. Lampley was a transfer a season ago. He transferred from East Carolina, redshirted last year, but now he's going to have an opportunity to play early and often. Mike Urbick was a 4-star recruit a year ago. He redshirted. Chase Bond was on the roster. Mello Coleman recruited this year, true freshman. We hope a lot of these guys are going to progress the next couple of stages. That linebacking core is strong. It's deep. We have a lot of options. We recruited a couple middle linebackers a season ago. We got 2 more in this class. And of course, Elijah Groves headlines that right outside linebacker position. Milau Talavu, hope I said that right. He's a 75 overall with 96 speed coming into his freshman season. Matthew Reese is a 77 overall. I might end up redshirting him depending on how Palmer and Terry Moore, the transfer from Duke, end up playing. But we head to our player progression. And look at Stephen Ballage going from a 72 overall to an 84. Could that cause a conversation for that quarterback position? He outpaces Bailey 84 to 82 now. Hollywood Smothers improves to an 81. And Jaden Scott is another guy that I think we could get involved in that offense. Noah Rogers is up to an 84. Terrell Anderson has 99 speed and 99 acceleration after the improvement. He's going to be our deep threat this season. Hasn't really been used much through the first couple of years, but I imagine CJ Bailey or whoever's at the quarterback position is going to throw that ball up to Anderson a lot. Trent Mitchell is another surprise. Our highest rated left tackle was a 71 heading into the offseason, and now Trent Mitchell is in the upper 80s. That is huge for our prospects this season, especially since he's a young guy. Defensive tackle is a position of weakness. We have several guys 76 or lower. And then we take a look at our middle linebackers, 88, 83, and 80. Right outside linebacker, 88, 87, 86. I am not worried about the linebackers this year. Brandon Cisse is up to an 84. He's in his senior year. The last time we'll see Cisse in a Wolfpack uniform. And now Christopher Bowling improves to a 77. I think that's going to lend itself to allowing us to redshirt Matthew Reese. Overall, we're an 85. Offense is an 85 and defense is an 86. That's improved from last season. And I really think if we can figure out the offense, get guys in a rhythm, really get that running game going, we have a shot to compete for the ACC title. But of course, that's a long way from now. We still have to get through this offseason. We need to start off week 1, figure out who we're playing. We're going to go with App State week 1. Maybe Ohio will be week 2. But we're going to make some changes to the rest of the calendar. Some teams I'd really like to play are ones in the Big Ten and maybe the old Pac-12. Colorado would be interesting now that Travis Hunter and Shedeur Sanders are gone. We'll see how they've recruited. Iowa would be fun to play. And you get to see the Children's Hospital wave at the end of the first quarter. Of course, we go to Clemson. We play Florida State. They're both ranked in the top 10 early this year. Those are going to be 2 tough games, and we got them back-to-back. We're going to play ULM at home after we face Pitt. Then we go to Georgia Tech, at Syracuse, at Stanford before we close against Louisville and North Carolina. We thought about playing Iowa at home, but I really want to see that animation where they wave to the hospital. Taking a look at the preseason top 25, Florida State paces the country after going to the national championship. Clemson is sitting at number 9 and Pitt is number 10. We have all 3 of those teams on our schedule this year. Duke is sitting at 21, and we are ranked in the preseason at 24. We finished year 2 unranked, so it's kind of surprising to see us in the top 25. And as you can see, we're picked to finish 7th or 8th in the ACC this year, behind Cal, UNC, Duke, and of course Pitt, Clemson, and Florida State. This is what we're going with early in the year, though. We're going to stick with CJ Bailey as our starting quarterback. However, I'm able to change that, and I'm willing to change that, especially if our offense struggles. Cliff Robbins is going to be our every down back. I think Hollywood Smothers has some burst, but I don't see him being an every down guy. Noah Rogers, Terrell Anderson, J.D. Edelman are going to play a lot. We also have redshirt freshman Coco Rod. He's somebody I've kind of forgotten about, but he was a 4-star recruit a year ago. He redshirted last season. We didn't get to see him, but I think he's going to play some this year. And after we got through the offseason training results, our offensive line does look better. That center position is still weak. Rylan Van is our starting center at 73 overall. I don't know if we're going to be able to run up the middle if he ends up sticking at that center spot. We have some guys behind him. Slade Brink was a guy I was excited about last year after we brought him in. But after a year of progression and a year redshirting, he's only a 67. Luckily, we have Rico Jackson. He's currently listed as a left tackle, but he is rated in the 80s as a center. We're going to let him start, and that should shore up our offensive line. Justin Terrell is going to start at end for us. Another spot we're weak is at the D tackle position. Seems like the interior of our lines are struggling more than the edges. Isaiah Shirley is rated a 91 defensive tackle. He's not currently starting at a defensive end spot, and he's going to be a guy that can really get around the center quickly. He's not going to have a bunch of power to him, but if we want to get after the quarterback, he might be our guy. We've got some other guys that could take up space and eat up blocks, but I think Shirley could cause some chaos through the middle of that defense. Kamal Bonner is going to start at right outside linebacker. We'll see Elijah Groves on the field a lot. Assad Brown's going to start opposite of Brandon Cisse. Marvin Martin, Terry Moore right now. This is prior to redshirt decisions. Matthew Reese does have 93 speed. So if we see those safeties struggling, I will be willing to burn the redshirt on Matthew Reese, especially if we have a chance to make some noise this year. Garrison Levine is our kicker. He's a redshirt freshman. Third down running back, of course, is going to be Hollywood Smothers, rated just ahead of Cliff Robbins. He has 90 speed, but Robbins has 93. I really think Cliff Robbins might be one of the best running backs to play at NC State. At slot wide receiver, we're going to see 5-star freshman J.D. Edelman, backed up by Coco Rod. I want J.D. Edelman on the field almost every play. We need to see him make noise this season, and if we want our quarterback to play well, we need talent around him. Denelius Johnson, unfortunately, he is a senior, but I think he's going to play extremely well for us this year. Before I go and we head to year 3, let's take a look at some practice footage from this year. We see Cliff Robbins break free on that run. Then he gets out in space, catches the football, breaks a tackle, and gets out to the 20. think Cliff Robbins is going to make noise not only on running plays, but out of the backfield as a pass catcher. Hollywood Smothers breaks the safety's ankles on that run. I'd like to see a lot of that from him this year. And there is J.D. Edelman on the catch from C.J. Bailey. Stephen Ballage in the game now hands to Cliff Robbins, breaks a tackle, and gets down to the 15. This is encouraging to see early. Stephen Ballage with the pump fake, going to roll out to his right, fired downfield, and there's Noah Rogers wide open. That's what Stephen Ballage brings to the table, his escapability, and then able to throw on the run. And Coco Rod, the guy we were just talking about, breaks free, nobody within 30 yards, able to get into the end zone on that play. Another good run from Smothers. Stephen Ballage in the pocket now, going to fire deep to the end zone. There is 99 speed Terrell Anderson, goes up and makes the grab. This team is playing pretty well so far in practice. As we see Edelman go in motion, it is a pitch play to Edelman, trying to use his speed to get down to the 20. But thank you guys for watching. Like, comment, share with your friends. Ready for Season 3. I'll see you guys later.